Have you noticed that your child is having difficulty recalling certain steps on carrying out a certain task? They may have difficulty recalling a list of tasks that you've given to them. When you ask them what they're reading, they may have to reread it several times in order to comprehend it and be able to explain to you. And they're misplacing their things quite often. They are lacking focus in their work. When it comes to tests at school, they might get a lot anxious. So all these signs, and like when you ask them as to how your day was, they have difficulty recalling what actually went throughout the day. So these are indications that your child needs help with working memory. In today's video, I'm going to share with you tips on how you can help your neurodiverse child with their working memory. Now, you must be wondering, what is working memory? Working memory is an essential feature of our executive functioning skills. And now that if you're wondering what is executive function skills, these are a set of our mental skills that help us to carry out our tasks. These skills help us get things done, right? For example, if I need to cook, so all the planning, the organization, the paying attention, the remembering of details, management of time, these are required in order to get any task done. So whether it's like, as I said, cooking or doing your homework or getting ready for a meeting. So you can very well imagine that how important these skills are in any person's life in order to be able to have, to focus, to carry out the tasks, and to problem solve and whatnot. So working memory is a very important part of these executive function skills. Working memory is like a memory that temporarily stores that information that helps us to problem solve, to learn, to focus on a task, etc. So no wonder when our working memory is weak, we would have a lot of difficulty in our daily tasks as well as in our learning. Now I'm going to share with you some tips that you as a parent or carer can help improve working memory of your neurodiverse child. Number one, develop a checklist. This is the most easiest way to help with the working memory of your child. So you can develop a checklist of the tasks or steps of a task, and then you can hang it somewhere your child has easy access to, so they can refer to it again and again in order to find out what they need to do. And over time you will find that they would be able to practice, because they have been practicing those tasks or those steps of a task repeatedly. They find themselves less dependent on it, and hopefully they would be able to carry out that task independently. Now, break the task into small steps. Again, if you give your child a task, they may feel quite overwhelmed, because that may be a lot of information on about that task. So what you can do is you can break that task into further small tasks and ask them to carry out the first two tasks, for example, and then so on and so forth. So that way they won't be too overwhelmed when they are given a certain task to do, and they can focus on each step and finally be able to carry out the task without feeling overwhelmed. And number three can be breaking down of information into smaller chunks. So here again, you can break down their learning into small chunks. That way they can focus on a chunk of information at a particular point in time, and that way they would be able to learn and not get overwhelmed. So children with working memory may have difficulty in their studies, may have difficulty at schools or at home learning or studying. And one way that you can help is that you can encourage your child to study more often but in small chunks of time. So for example, you can ask your child to have frequent 20 or 30-minute sessions of study instead of sitting for 1 hour at a stretch, and that may be too much for them. But then being able to study for a small chunk of time and then being able to get up and move around would help them learn and be focused. Urge your child to exercise. We all know the immense benefits that exercise has, not only for our physical health but also for our mental health as well. So exercising can include anything like going for a run, a walk, jumping on a trampoline, biking, and by keeping their bodies active, they can also help sharpen their brains. My next tip is on discouraging multitasking. So even though multitasking has been glorified in the past a lot, but to be honest, it doesn't really help us finishing any single task. So for example, if they have a task of finishing their homework, then they can focus on that particular task and not have, say, their iPad or their phone next to them. That can be, put in another room so that they can focus on that particular task of finishing their homework and getting done with it. My next tip is on creating designated spaces for their stuff, for putting their stuff. So if you find your child misplacing their stuff quite a lot, then you can help them in putting their stuff and in designated spaces at home, and you can also talk to the teacher, collaborate with the teacher at school, where your child has a designated space to put their bag, their books, and other stuff that is needed at school. So again, over time, they would practice that. In order to find that certain item, they would know that where it is. That means that there is less misplaced items both at home and at school. Teach your child memory techniques. So on YouTube, I've seen these viral videos where, like a teacher, either a maths teacher or a science teacher, comes up with a song, a lyric, or a rhyme or a story in which they are able to teach their students. And I think that's quite creative. So if you can come up again with some creative ways of helping your child learn, that is also going to help with their memory. So these were some of the tips from my side. I hope you find these tips helpful. If you have any tips to share, please do so in the comment section. I'm going to see you in my next video. Till then, take care and bye.